Hey guys, a little while ago, we made a Facebook post where we promised to show you how to light your scenes. Turns out our artist was working really hard learning all the colors and has just now released a course about it on Udemy. What you're about to watch is a video explaining all you need to know about lighting a low poly environment in Unity. This video was extracted from our artist course on Udemy, and if you'd like to learn more about creating these assets and the process beneath it, enroll in the courses right now using our special coupon code N3KBoobs for sweet discounts. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll now let LeFluff take over.
Hello guys, welcome back to lesson 6. In this video, what we are going to do is simply light our scene. As you can see, this is our end result. Now, if you can remember, in our texture video, we've used orange monochromes for stones and torch, and we've even used green on grass. So this time, just like I said in that past video, we are going to add shades and tints of yellow into the mix to make everything come together as your one and only analogous color scheme. And we are going to use that for lighting. Alright, so now that you know what we are going to do, I'm going to go ahead and transfer to Unity. So make sure that your scene is open right here. So the first thing that you're going to do is go to File, hit Build Settings, and hit Player Settings. What you're going to do here is make sure your color space is on gamma, not linear. Now by default, Unity is going to be on gamma, which is good because that is what we are mainly going to use. Now, one of the key difference between gamma and linear is when the light intensifies in your scene. As you can see here on this picture, on gamma, your mesh kind of becomes whitewash, whereas on linear, it kind of spread the light evenly in your mesh and it looks good. But I find that when we use gamma on low light settings, it reduces the jaggedness of what linear is going to produce, especially if the anti-aliasing is off and we're using post-processing stack. You can see here on this image that the jaggedness, even with anti-aliasing on, is very visible on linear on a very low light settings, whereas on gamma it kind of like smoothen it out, and that is mainly what we want. So keep this in gamma. The next thing that you're going to do is just close this and go to Edit, hover on Project Settings, and click Quality. You are going to turn off the anti-aliasing because we are going to enable this in our post-processing stack that we are going to import later on in this project. So after disabling this, go ahead and go to your main camera. You are going to make sure that rendering path is on forward. Now, we transfer in forward because we don't have much light into our scene. Forward is used on like mobile or kind of like VR games, whereas deferred is more used on like a light intensive game. Think desktop games where there's a lot of lights and bulb. And also make sure that the allow HDR is checked. It simply means that if it's enabled, we don't lose much details on areas that are overexposed or underexposed. And we can't really use our color grading in our post-processing stack if this is off, so make sure this is checked right here. And we are going to disable the multi-sample anti-aliasing. Same reason we disable the anti-aliasing in the quality, because we are going to enable it in our post-processing stack. So the next thing that we are going to do is go to your asset store and go ahead and type here post-processing stack. Now if I type here post-processing, it should just automatically show this one. This one is what we need right here, and just go ahead and click this. Now I've already downloaded mine, so all I have to do is import this, but you are going to have the download button here, and just go ahead and click download. After it's done downloading, you're just going to simply press import. And after it's done decompressing, as you can see, make sure everything is checked and just go ahead and press import again. And as you can see right here, it adds a folder called post-processing, and this is what we need. Later on in our project, we are going to drag this into our Unity Technologies folder, but we are not going to do that until all of the filters is set up, because sometimes if we enable a filter and the post-processing folder happens to be under another folder, sometimes it turns your whole scene into pink, and sometimes it just doesn't work. So we are going to leave this right here for now. So go back to your scene. What we are going to do next is simply go to your main folder and go to Skybox, because we are going to create a procedural skybox. So right click here, hover on create, and click material. Go ahead and name this Skybox 1. So what you're going to do next is change your shader into here on the Skybox, and you are going to hit Procedural. Now there is 3 types of Skybox. Procedural is more of like Unity based where you can just adjust the gradients and so. Cube map is more of like an HDR map. The maps that they use on rendering softwares like Marmoset Toolbag. And 6-sided Skybox are mostly like different image that you are going to like kind of stitch together. Now there's tons of free skyboxes out there on your asset store, but I've also provided links to free HDR maps on your resources folder. So make sure you just download the text document in your resources folder and you can try out the different types of skybox right here. But go ahead and click Procedural because we are going to use this. And as you can see right here, it should look something like this. So the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to left mouse click and just basically drag this into our sky here. And as you can see, you will know that this is live and working and that this is your current skybox if you adjust your sun size and it adjusts just like that. We want our sun size to be something like say 0.055. We don't want this to be really big or really too small, so that's fine with me. And the next settings that we are going to mess with is our atmosphere thickness. Now, as you can see right here, the more you drag this up, the more it thickens it becomes. And if you drag this down, the thickness disappears. So we are going to keep this around, let's see, I think 0.5 is okay. The next thing that we have is our sky tint here. So go ahead and click this. And just copy the colors that I've pasted here. Just like I said, we are going to use orange in our skybox, but kind of a different shade, right? So as you can see here, it's not really going to turn our sky into a bright orange because we're just basically applying a tint, just like it says here. And on the ground, go ahead and click the color here and just change it into another shade of orange, but more of like on the saturated side right here. You can always just drag this and kind of pick your color like this. But if you want to be specific, just copy the values that I put here. Alright, so your skybox should look like this. Keep in mind that we're making a nighttime scene. So the skybox is really going to be kind of dark once we adjust our directional light. The way we are going to light this is our light is going to be coming from the back. The sides here are going to be kind of illuminated and the whole front in here is going to be kind of dark. But we are going to have like a point light right here that's going to emit light on different sides because we are going to have a portal here. They are going to emit light, so we are going to have light on the front too, but not so much on the back. The next thing that you're going to do is go to your lighting tab. If this is not open, go to window and it should be right here in settings. Now I'm gonna go ahead and close this so you can see how I drag that. Open your lighting settings, and it should be popping right here, and just kind of left mouse click and drag it here. And what you're going to make sure is make sure your source right here is your skybox, because if it's not, your environment will derive colors from either color, and if you adjust the color, it's gonna copy the color from there as if that is your skybox, or here in gradients. And we don't want that, so make sure you're on skybox. So the next thing that you're going to do, I'm gonna go ahead and just press F so I can zoom in. Well, I can just press say F after clicking this so I can zoom in on a mesh or an object. I'm just gonna put that like that. The next thing that you're going to do is go ahead and open your lighting and click directional light. If you don't have this, you can always just click here first, right click, and then hover on light and click directional light. And that's how you add a directional light. So after you've added that, what you're going to do next is basically just right click here and reset. Make sure that your light is in the middle of your portal, but at the very bottom, just like this. But if we put this on the side, it's right here, level to your portal. And what we're going to do is basically just adjust this. So you can either press W, and you can move it like that, or however you want, whichever axis you want. Or you can also hover on the letters here, your X axis, your Y, your Z, and it should move that. Now, say you hover this on the right? And you move this on the left. And yours is moving about the opposite way. Like if you kind of move this on the right and yours move on the left, it's basically because you are on the wrong camera perspective. Like maybe if you put your camera in here and your controls are the opposite and your level is facing this way, what you can do to fix that is you can just go to your level and kind of press E to rotate and just kind of rotate this about 180 degrees on the Y. And after you're done rotating that, you are going to click every single child in your level parent, drag it outside your level. Make sure when you drag it out, it looks like this, not like that. And after you kind of drag that there, what you're going to do is zero in the position and rotation of your empty game object, which is the level. And after that, you are just going to drag back your child here, back to your level. And that's how basically you are going to fix your scene if you're on the wrong movements or rotation per se. And make sure that you go back to your prefab folder and update your level right here. Just left mouse click and drag it here to update it. So I'm going to go back to our lighting. I'm going to reset this again. And basically what I'm going to do is just rotate this on the x-axis. This is red, so I know that is the x-axis. This is blue, and that is blue, so I know that's the z-axis. So I'm going to rotate this on the x-axis because I want the front to be dark, but at the same time I want the back to be bright. So I'm going to do is let the sun kind of sunset out of our scene, just like this. As you can see, we have lights on the back and we don't have lights on the front. And I'm gonna mess with this on the y-axis and just kind of rotate this like this to have lights on the side here, just like what I said. And about this setting right here. Alright, so this is good enough for me. Alright, so what you're going to do next is go ahead and click your color and change your hex color into this values. So like I said, we are going to use yellow, but around this side of our picker right here. And I'm just going to press enter. And your light should look like this. Now it looks kind of weird right now, but once we add post-processing stack, it shouldn't look this weird. So I'm going to rotate this again to kind of spread more light right here. And just kind of still make this a little bit dark, maybe something like this. I'm going to kind of lower down my intensity. Something 0.5 is okay. Alright, so this is good enough. So the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to add a point light into our scene. So go ahead and right click on your lighting and just hover on light and click point light. Now the reason that we right click on your lighting is that so when we add a point light, it's automatically parented to this empty game object right here, just like you see right here. And I'm just going to name this portal light, because once we add our VFX, this is going to be the light that kind of emits a kind of like a glow effect into our portal. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of press W and drag this out like this, and kind of drag it out on the Z-axis because I want this to be kind of illuminated, right? And we are going to first adjust the color. So go ahead and click the color here and just copy the values that I'm going to paste here. And as you can see, we're using another shade of yellow, or somewhere here in the middle, like yellow-green. But this is mainly the color that we are going to use. Now you can either like pause this video and you can always click this, click on the color picker right here, and you can always drag wherever you want in your computer. Now, I'm on a text document right now, and say I want to sample the letter T. I can just press this, and just like that, the color is copied. As long as you click this first and just hover on whichever part of the scene that you want to copy the color from. So that's one way. But I'm going to stick with yellow. Just like this. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. And we are going to kind of adjust our range. So you can either adjust it here. If you hover and your mouse kind of change into this icon, you can always drag it in like that and drag it out. But I kind of want mine to be a little bit, let's see, something like this. This is good. I'm gonna click this and kind of put it here a bit. Alright. So just like that, we have a color in the middle of our portal. What I'm gonna do next though is go to my materials folder, right click here and create another material. I'm gonna name this ground. So the way we are going to apply this is I'm just gonna drag this material here and just let go on the plane, just like that. And I'm going to change the color into black because I don't want the colors coming from the lights to be kind of too much on the ground. Maybe put this here a bit, something like this. Yeah. Alright, so after this is done, we are gonna add a bunch of point lights into our torch here and our fire thingies here. So we can just duplicate this, hit Ctrl D, and kind of rename this. So I'm just basically double clicking to kind of enable the naming thing. So I'm just gonna name this a torch light. I'm gonna go to my y-axis. Make sure you're on isometric view, so everything is flat. And I'm going to drag this here. I'm just going to press F. So as you can see, the bigger your range is, when you press F, it kind of zoom out. So I can drag the range here. As you can see, it can zoom in now. So you can either drag the range here at any corner of this, or you can either just control it here, just like I told you the last time. And I'm going to kind of put this here, close to it, something like this. Let's see, if I make this a little bit bigger, well, this is enough for me. So I'm going to duplicate this again and kind of drag it here and just put it up a bit. Make sure that you check every single axis so that you know that it's level to the right rotation of your object. Alright, so let's see if I make the range bigger on this one. So I'm just gonna name this torchlight, but I'm gonna put here on the right side. I'm gonna put R here so I know which one's which. This is on the left. So I'm gonna go back to my portal light again, go to my y-axis and hit Ctrl D to duplicate, and I'm gonna drag it somewhere here. And like I told you the last time, minimize the range. And I'm gonna go to my x-axis and just kind of put this here a bit. Something like this. Alright. Just going to drag this here like this. I'm going to Ctrl T to duplicate and just drag the other one there. Just like this. Make sure to check every angle so you know it's centered. And I'm going to name this maybe pillar light. So this is on the left, right? So I'm just gonna put here left. I'm just gonna change this into pillar. This one is on the right. Just put here pillar. And I'm gonna play around with the intensity of this. So if I drag this up there, as you can see, it becomes more brighter. If I drag it here, it becomes dim. So maybe around this is good. Maybe 1.5. And in here, maybe I don't have to make them all the same. 1.6. Now our torch, let's see. If your camera is doing the same thing like me, like this thing right here, when you zoom it in, just click the torch here. Make sure the torch is the only one selected and just press F. So you can zoom in perfectly fine. But I am on the torch, left part, and maybe turn this up a bit like this. What if I make this a little bit bigger? So something like this. Alright. So on this side here, just intensify this kind of like this. And I can even drag that outside. It doesn't need to be in the middle of this, because I want the light to affect here too, right here. So I'm gonna put this here a bit. Maybe change the intensity to something bigger. Something like that. I'm gonna drag this here too, so that it emits light right here in the front. Because we have a light coming here, and it's making this backside brighter too, so something like that. Alright, so let's see this. So I'm gonna go back to my directional light and maybe kind of make this, not this one, yeah, kind of darker. So what if I put it on 200? So I'm gonna keep that like that for now. Alright, so we are going to end the lighting here, guys. On the next video, we are going to set up our post-processing stack to make the scene glow and give it 50% of its life. Where's the other 50, you say? Well, that's gonna be on the VFX mate. Alright, enough chit-chat. See you on the next video.